Good afternoon, everyone. Just let us know. Oh, my Sky News app came back.
That could have been the introduction there, actually.
I know it was. It
Should
was
have
just
left it ringing. It was actually
I
good
know.
timing.
I know. Good timing. Actually, what is the news? Let's find out. Nothing interesting at all. Yeah, it literally announced, and it was really loud as well. My phone's like right in front of my face. Guys, just let us know if you can see and hear us okay. Jamie has joined us on YouTube, always first on there for sure. So welcome, Jamie. Just let us know if you can hear us on YouTube and see us on YouTube, and if you are joining via the Facebook group, if you could let us know the same, that would be much appreciated. Johnny's joined me this afternoon. We're going to talk about all things HFSS and what a massive pain in the bum it is starting to become. We thought it might, but that's the spoiler alert for anyone that's going through that process at the moment. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting us know. We'll jump on and talk about that in a moment, but just let us know in the comments, is the high fat sugar and salts thing, is it affecting you? Because it's affecting people in very different ways. Some people haven't got the ability to upload the information at all. Some people have. Some people it's banning them from ads. Other people it isn't. So it's just, to be frank, a massive mess.
It's gonna be good when we can do one of these podcasts videos, and it's good news, right?
Yeah.
Recently, it seems to be always HFSS and have a few things, buy box suppression, declarations of conformities. Hopefully, the good times will roll, after all this sort of bad stuff going on.
Exactly. Somebody said, right, I'm just going to jump into the comments. Actually, I hadn't done that before. I'm not sure. Let's just say hello to everyone. Jamie, Andrew, Julia. It's not giving me the comments for some reason, so hopefully it will in a minute if I go in. Oh, that didn't jump. Oh, there we go.
There's a few.
Yeah, there's a few. Noreen's joined us. Kay, Samara, Maria. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. What is HFSS? Well, apart from a massive pain in the bum, it is a new regulation that has come into force on the 1st of October. It was passed through Parliament, I think, in January. So I think part of people's beef, to excuse the pun, is the fact that the regulation has come in so quickly. They already suspended half of it because of the cost of living crisis. But in a nutshell, it essentially comes down to the ban of promotion of high fat, sugar and salt foods, foods that are deemed unhealthy. So every high fat, sugar and salt, or every product on Amazon in the grocery under, I think it's 59 certain subcategories, are attributed, or should be attributed a HFSS score. It either comes under healthy, unhealthy, or excluded, right? I can't remember.
Not in scope. Yeah.
Not in scope. Yeah.
Less healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and not in scope basically means it doesn't fall within that category. That's what it comes down to. So, that's come into effect, and we've been talking about it. Do you know what I feel? I do feel a little bit kind of, I suppose, like we got it right, in the sense that no one else was talking about it. We were kind of the only ones that were talking about it. I think we tried to do something. Well, we did do something about it. We helped everyone out with the calculator that you built, to being able to try and I suppose mitigate some of the damage that it was going to cause. So we did what we could without knowing what it was going to be.
I think I think the most important thing right now is just getting that information in. There was a comment yesterday that they put their HFS data in, and within sort of 24 hours, their listing was back to normal, right? So like the most important thing is to actually enter the information itself, right? And with the tool itself, I think it was just more trying to help with the flow, trying to speed up that process, right? Because otherwise it takes a while just to calculate everything. So I was just speeding up that process, and it's free, right? So you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up for that tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody is watching, we'll pop that link in the comments just to let you know. But the best thing to do, to be perfectly honest, without us spending an hour going back through it is to go back and watch the original video on Never Mind the Buy Box that Johnny and I did, about a month ago, something like that, where he goes through and shows you the process of the tool, how it works, how to do it. Because the best thing you can do is, like Johnny says, enter the information. But I think what annoys me the most is I've always considered us, to be a group of sellers, and group of people, in these type of communities. And I'm not just talking about me and you, Johnny. I'm talking about everyone that's watching this or whatever. I've always said that we are quite an educated bunch of sellers, and we know a lot of what's going on in Amazon. And I think especially because we cover so many different, different models of selling and things like that as well. But I think what upsets me the most is I haven't had much chance to look into the consequences of HFSS this week.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
It's really hard to say. That's why I have to say high fat, sugar and salts.
But that's
that's what I'm going to say. Yeah, definitely. So I haven't had much chance to look into the bombshell of the advertising. And I promise you guys, next week, I am going to, dedicate some really good time to looking into this, because it's just, this, to be honest, could ruin people's businesses. And I was reading on some of the Amazon forums, and there's people on there that just didn't know it was coming, didn't know what to do, didn't see it coming, don't know what to do now. And these are people that, you've got one person on the Amazon forum saying that they've ordered 30 grand's worth of stock that they now can't sell, because of this. And yes, it's something obviously we've been talking about for a really long time, but we've been the only ones talking about it. And we are a small group and we don't have a huge reach yet, I should say, because we're a relatively new group. But even if you have a really big reach, there's still people that don't know. And the reason is there's no one else to blame apart from Amazon, because they haven't told anyone.
Do you know what they spent the 30,000 on? Is it chocolates or?
Yeah, chocolates, I think. Yeah.
So I mean, there is obviously ways around it. He could probably start looking, or she could start looking at other marketplaces, right? Mm-hmm. That's like the cool little thing to do now, right? Is guess what? In Europe, this hasn't had an effect. So
yeah, and the US.
Yeah, and the US.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think every now and again something happens on Amazon. And guys, I'm a forward thinker. I'm a positive person, but every now and again I really get annoyed on behalf of the Amazon community. And this has really annoyed me because they've had more than enough time to put this in place, and it's a shambles. And it's not like you can we built a tool. We're not even Amazon at the end of the day. We did something to try and help people, to try and mitigate them and navigate them and get them through this. So it's, Amazon could have done something more. But do you know what it comes down to? And this is going to sound really dodgy, but you'll know what I mean. It's because their back end is such a mess. Seller Central is such a mess.
Do you think, to play that devil's advocate there, is that it's not, the onus isn't on Amazon, but it's the confusion from the UK government? And I don't want to get political, but they are flip-flopping all the time on different things, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the 24 hours before it was going to come into play, there were strong rumors that they're just going to completely drop the entire thing. So maybe Amazon thought, should I really invest all this time into all these different systems and softwares if it's just not going to happen anyway? So maybe now, I don't know. I think the onus is, partly on the UK government as well. And yeah,
absolutely. I think they've not been prepared for the change. They've already delayed half of it, which is the promotional delay, which is, buy one, get one free or whatever. There was some confusion from the direction of the government as to whether or not it would actually affect paid search as opposed to, just a physical advertising, on the end of aisles and things like that. The whole thing's just been a mess and been a shambles. And in a state of economic crisis that we're in at the moment, where so many people are relying on Q4, especially in these type of businesses, for them to do incredibly well, it's just another kick in the teeth, I think, for people. So all we can do is do what we can to find out. I mean, it's one of these type of things that there's so many different routes. Like I said, Some people haven't done it. Some people have done it. And I'm getting daily messages from multiple people saying, well, my ASIN's blocked, but this one's still showing for advertising. They've taken my top spot now, and all my organic sales have dropped. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to put together all the information. And I think I'm going to have to do a separate kind of live outside of Nevermind the Buy Box and just digest everything, go through everything, and just really talk about, what's happened, how you can avoid it. But what it essentially comes down to is if somebody's advertising is getting through, there's two reasons, probably might be more, but this is what we know at this stage. If someone's advertising is showing and yours isn't, it's either because they haven't been alerted to put the HFSS details in, which means they might be off of the radar because one of their browse nodes in the category tree might be incorrectly allocated. Okay. So what that means is they might be in a slightly different category that's out of scope and is not affected. So that is something that's happening at the moment. If that is happening to you, I would personally just leave it. I personally would just leave it. If you're flying under the radar, I wouldn't bother about putting the HFS in. HFSS in. I don't know if you agree with that. I know it's technically a little bit of grey advice there, but I leave it up to you guys to be able to do it. But that's what I would do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you just going back to where you said that you're going to do a separate sort of Nevermind the Buy Box in a bit of time. It's only been out for 4 days, right? So
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm a data nerd, and I know you love your helium-10 data.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to actually decipher exactly what's going on, how it's affecting ranking until we have a bit more data, a bit more time.
Yeah.
Jesus, sorry.
I know you're still rocking the sore throat that I've passed around digitally.
Yeah, I think you passed it on through Zoom or for StreamYard somehow.
Exactly. I've passed it to everyone.
But I've been looking at a few listings like Fortins and stuff like that, and so early to tell. But there's no been massive drops in ranks. But again, like you were saying, people search Fortins, right? They don't search chocolates. So
exactly, it's very much going to be, and people are going to be impacted in different ways. Private label sellers are going to be more impacted than arbitrage sellers, but arbitrage sellers are not going to go unscathed, because at the end of the day, the reason why arbitrage works, because the majority, yes, we use penny PPC and things like that, but the majority of searches comes through that are keyword driven. At the end of the day, it's not through advertising. So actually, in this whole situation, probably arbitrage sellers will do quite well. They might have a little bit of an uplift ordinarily to do with this, especially if you are selling products that are considered to be in the healthy category. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a boost your business over the next couple of weeks, because those type of products are going to rise through the ranks, whereas the unhealthy ones are going to be kind of forced down. So if you sell in those type of products, don't be surprised if you see an uplift in sales.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the money there. I think for private label, it's absolutely horrific. Those sort of emerging brands that fall under this less than healthy category, it must be a hell for them. I was actually I think I pitched this idea, not pitched it, but I told you about this idea. But I was thinking about starting a private label business at the start of the year, and it's sort of to do with salt. Actually, do you remember me telling you about this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
and I still think it's a really good idea. But if I was going to do that on Amazon, that's probably going to fall under less healthy. It's like just pure salt. Is that less healthy? Probably, I imagine, right?
Well, yeah, it's one of those arguments where it's so black and white with this, or it should be black and white essentially. But you look at something like Himalayan salt, which is technically good for you.
Yeah.
But it is high in salt. So, it's something that is going to be penalized on Amazon. But private label moving forward has to take a massive change now in terms in the grocery category. And of course, guys, we're talking about one category on Amazon. This isn't, the end of life as we know it. It's one category. Yes, it's the biggest category. And yes, it's a category, unfortunately, that people do very well in over Q4 with these unhealthy type of products. But it just means that if you want to launch these type of products moving forward, so I wouldn't stop launching these type of products moving forward, but I tell you what I would do is I would completely educate myself on the changes and how you need to do it moving forward, because crap listings are not going to cut it anymore, because that's how people got ahead. They paid for it. They paid to put themselves in good positions, and then what would eventually happen is the organic rank would take over when Amazon recognized it as a well converting item. Well, not going to have that opportunity anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, it's going to take this is a massive shift in the system. But what I am going to do, like I said, and you're absolutely right, Johnny, it's going to take a little while to digest this information. I can't just look at one person's product where they're advertising and someone else isn't advertising and working out. I have to look at multiple different products. We're going to have to really sit down, look at the data, see how it's affecting, why some people can advertise, why some people can't. It will come down to what's in the back end, attributes, things like that. Absolutely. But with these type of things, and I'll probably sit down with like a focus group of people. And this is the stuff we do in ESA. So we sit down with, 4 to 6 people. We look at all of their products and we see what's sort of happening. And we try our best to work it out. So what will happen is we'll look at that and we'll try and analyze all the data and see what we come up with, see if we can find a fix, see if we can find a solution to it, essentially. But ultimately there's a couple of things that you can do anymore, straight away. Johnny, I think you've just put the checkout on there.
For the HFSS tool. High fat sugar tool.
I know it's really hard to say, really hard.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the questions. But yeah, if I seem a little bit downtrodden today, that's it has really got me, this one, because 2 weeks ago I changed my tune on this. The whole time I was warning people that the advertising might get cut, and I've said this a couple of times now. And I thought, oh, Natalie, merchant of doom and gloom kind of thing, because like you said, it feels like that it's been like that for about 3 or 4 weeks now, of just doom and gloom, doom and gloom. So I thought logically, or I took an educated guess, that because Amazon had not released any further data about it, that they wouldn't remove the sponsored products. But I was wrong.
Yeah.
And they did.
I think actually what would be really good is just understanding what happens with advent calendars. I'm very curious about those sort of sales volumes. Obviously I don't know when people search on Amazon, do they search for that specific advent calendars, or would they search for advent calendars and then be like, what comes up? And if it's there, because I'm just searching advent calendars right now, and actually a chocolate one is in ranked. This on the placement number 4. So the Lindor Christmas milk chocolate advent calendar is still on the front page, ranked 4. Then you think, like, are they? The other thing that's really tough to tell, right, is, are people telling the truth, right? Has someone just put in that advent calendar and said, oh, it's healthy? I don't want to get this advertising barred, so I'm just going to put this in healthy and then say it's a mistake. I'm not. So it's going to be very interesting to see what advent calendars, what happens there. Last year they're very good for us. One particular advent calendar we sold over 10 pallets of, just that single advent calendar. But to be honest, I'm a little bit hesitant now. I'm a bit scared, actually, like wherever it is in the sort of crypto trading thing, they always say, it's the opposite of FOMO. It's like the opposite. It's just like, I'm like, I haven't got the balls to go heavy on advent calendars. And
no, absolutely. Well, it's going to come down to organic search. So this is the key. This is what people are going to have to educate themselves on now, in the sense that so organic rankings versus for paid advertising rankings on Amazon, they're two different things. So every product that's sold on Amazon is attributed a rank. We know this through the BSR from 1 to God knows how many million, depending on the category, right? And, you know, depending on seasonality, different products, time of year, you know, all of these different things, it contributes to where somebody sits within the Amazon, you know, BSR category. Now, as you've purely said it yourself, if you type in advent calendar, the first thing that doesn't come up is no chocolate ones, because advent calendars ultimately have changed over the last few years, where advent calendars are no longer just chocolate ones. They are more of an experience and makeup and toys and everything like that. So actually, you know, a lot of advent calendar searches are now not showing chocolate ones, but that's not down to HFSS. That's down to the market of advent calendars. So if you type in chocolate advent calendar, what you've got to be able to do now is recognize the difference, and the data is too new. Okay. So if you look at anything like Helium 10, okay, if you look at their search volume data, is at least a week behind. Their sales data is based on the previous month. Okay. So if you are looking at any of that information right now, you cannot make a judgment on it. You have to wait until the data is settled a little bit to be able to make a bit of a judgment. But if you type in chocolate advent calendar, now what you've got to learn to be able to do is assess whether or not a product is in a position because of an organic rank, and what those keywords attributed to that organic rank are, and why it's in that position. Okay. And whether or not that position could be disrupted. So everyone now, almost in a way for arbitrage, if you're going to sell these type of high fat, sugar and salts products, needs to really educate themselves on ranking and how to tell if something is ranked there artificially or organically. And there's ways that you can do it by tracking certain keywords and seeing what positions it stays in certain rankings. You know, if it stays within the top 5, you know, for a sustained period of time, then it's safe to sell. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, I'm doing that keyword search now. Chocolate advent calendar.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
So what we're looking for there is essentially we're looking for everything, and it is getting a bit better actually, because on the sponsored ranks at the top, you've got not so much chocolate ones. You've got an organic chocolate one there, but you know they might have managed to wangle a bit of a you know, unhealthy a healthy rating or whatever.
Maybe.
But the other thing is as well taken into account, which you alluded to, guys, we can't help it if people lie. I know Johnny said it a bit more politely, but if somebody is appearing in sponsored ads, probably after about a month, they're probably not telling the truth, or they haven't been given the opportunity to put that data in. And you can't battle against that, unfortunately. So, you know, there are some times when you've just got to look at the system and say, the system's broken, and all I can do is know how to navigate it and work our way around it. But this is going to affect grocery massively, and you know, I don't want anyone to be under that type of illusion, because even if, this is what I mean, it's very rare that change comes into place. Like, you know, when restock limits come into place, unless you're a big wholesale seller, you know, that mainly affected private label people, not so much online arbitrage people, you know, not so much as it did.
I think it did
label.
to counter that. I remember those times, if you're FBA only and groceries where it's low value, because I know people like Tom Parkinson, at the time he switched his whole business model, and he was like, he told his team, let's focus on the high value stuff. So, you know, he had to flip flop to a completely different model because of that.
Apologies, I actually did mean something else. I realized when I said it, I actually meant the 200 unit limit on new product launches.
Okay,
That's the one I actually meant, and I compound that into restock limits. But no, you're absolutely right with the restock limits, absolutely 100%. But the oh yeah, I forgot my flow now. So with some changes that comes into place, like I said, affect more sellers than other. Now this one affects different people or different sellers in different ways. So like I said, if you're someone that creates your own products and you can't advertise anymore, that's going to affect you. Whereas if you are selling other people's products that are now being pushed down in the organic rankings, then that's going to affect you because you're not going to sell as many. you know, and you have no control over that because you can't put advertising on it in order to boost it. But sorry, I went into a bit of a rant. Let's look at some questions. Simona says, I still don't get it. So if it's OA wholesale listing with many sellers on, does each seller who lists the ASIN need to update the info, or once it's done, it's okay to sell? I don't know. Did we ever establish that from a multi-seller point of view?
I don't know if anyone's tested that, but is it like the COO of the country of origin where you got to put it as unique to each seller? I think it might be unique to each seller, right? I haven't seen anything pop up or noticed anything. I'm not too sure. I'd have to test that with someone else and see what comes up.
We need to establish that, Simona. As far as I was aware that it would be checked off for everyone else, but again, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see, because like literally, I'm looking at a sponsored ad now of a luxury gourmet fudge selection. Well, there's no way that's unhealthy. Healthy. You know, it's going to have a really high level of sugar, probably salt and fat, the lot. Yeah. So, you know, it's very, I know that there's different restrictions with alcohol, and it's just a huge, huge thing. And I just want to sort of say to everyone, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to work through this information and know what we know about it, like it did with restock limits. You know, everyone panicked at first, and we couldn't answer things to start with, and this is the same.
Yeah, one thing to think about, actually, going back on what I said, I do think ingredients is global for that ASIN, right? Because those ASINs, a lot of the ASINs get taken off Amazon because there's a mismatch of ingredients and the nutritional label on Amazon. So whether Amazon were preparing for HFSS back then, but that was a big thing with the food safety compliance and stuff like that. If you remember all that drama going on 9 months ago, a year ago. So if there was a mismatch with nutritional information, then they would take down the listing. So I imagine nutritional information is actually global. I don't know about the actual HFSS status, though. I don't know if there's a way to pick that up yet with Keeper. I imagine it would take them a while to actually get all that data. I don't know if the APIs have included it yet. Again, it's something I'm going to look into, to whether like the actual, you can pick it up on the back end yet. Hopefully, yes.
There is no, is it on the front page?
Yeah, because you could seriously, jeopardize other listings. If you hijack a listing, and say someone's just hijacked that listing, and like, there's some rogue sellers who just do some really black hat stuff. Mm-hmm. Could that person who's annoyed with them then go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to change their status, and they won't be able to advertise on it anymore. So that's why it makes me think, is it unique to each seller? Because otherwise it's such an easy way to manipulate a listing.
I think it is. I think it is. I think it is unique. And it, like I said, it's one of those things. And ultimately, once we've gathered some more information, we will put it together. What I'm just telling people to do at the moment, I'm saying, so the advice as it stands at the moment, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I'm going down there, which actually is probably a little bit against Amazon terms of service and what it's telling you to do. But my argument is they're allowing people to sell anyway. So, on the rules. So if you are slipping through the net, don't do anything. Just don't make any changes. I think that's the best thing to do at the moment. Obviously, if you do get any type of listing removals or anything like that, that's the chance that you have to take. Unfortunately, it is luck of the draw at the moment. There's nothing else we can do that. But just a couple of people that create their own listings, again, haven't really had a chance to test yet or anything. But coupons, are they working, guys? Are vouchers working? Because that could be a way to get around it a little bit. But the other thing as well, which I was saying to someone last night, is if you are not paying out for paid advertising, then one thing that could boost your organic rankings again is a price drop. Because there is nothing that affects organic rankings more than price drops. And especially big ones. So, but if you are going to do it in order to boost your organic rankings, I still recommend, if you want to put the price back up again, do it gradually, because otherwise you might not be able to, you might end up getting like a suppressed buy box. But yeah, if your cost per advertising goods is like £3 per unit, well, technically, if you're not paying out for advertising, you can afford to drop your potentially afford to drop your you know products. You can't drop it £3 because you don't pay for everyone that you sell, or you shouldn't be paying for everyone you sell, but you might be able to drop it by like 150 or something like that. But guys, that's where you need to dig into your data and find out what you're actually paying for your advertising and average it out the amount of units that you sold.
Yeah, I think for us it wouldn't make too much of a difference in the groceries. I think the max we pay is about 10p, 12p.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
But then again, that's pretty a high percentage in some of the stuff I sell. So
yeah, it's like 10%, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're in the high value market now, aren't you? So
yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, it's really difficult because you want to give advice, but people's businesses vary so much. So we can offer you as much support and advice and guidance as possible, but ultimately certain decisions you do have to you do have to make. Sean says a lot of the Cindy says time to make a boring healthy bundle. Yeah, well, but then saying that, what's healthy? Because
it's true. I was going to cover that actually with Sean. So a lot of the 0% VAT products are healthy products, depending on ingredients. Yeah, but also a lot of the 0% VAT products are cereal, right? All cereals are, even if it's chocolate cereal, it's 0% VAT, right? So that's going to have to go in the unhealthy or less healthy, sorry. There's stuff like soy sauce is a good example, high in salt. That's going to go into the less than healthy. Biscuits, which are like 0% or 5% usually. That's again probably less than healthy because again the protein ratio to the carbs is not that good, so it's probably less than healthy. And so on. There's a few things where even though it's 0%, there's quite a lot of them actually unfortunately are less than healthy. Can you think of anything else like that sort of similar where it's 0% VAT but less healthy?
I've seen that tea has become an issue. And I was noticing it on the forum when I was reading on the forums this morning. That for some reason tea seems to. This is what I mean. It's just so left base. All of this stuff. So it's
they're not using our tool, are they? Because there's no way that tea. There's no way the tea is because it's all based off per 100 grams, right? Per 100 grams, and the calories of tea per 100 grams must be minuscule, right? And so what I think,
I don't know. It's something to
maybe
do
in the
with
comments, someone clarify. Is there any nutritionists in the comments?
Yeah, it's something to do with black tea in particular. I think it must have a high level I'm not even going to try and speculate what it's got, but it must have a high level of something that's causing an issue. Whereas I thought if you drank black tea, you were like uber healthy, to be perfectly honest. And really boring because like it's the most boring drink on earth, right?
Well, sidetrack, like when I was in Thailand, they have this thing called Thai tea. And it's basically tea, milk, and lots of ice. Right, so there's ice Thai tea. I've tried that without sugar before, and it's just terrible. Then I tried it without milk as well, and it's just awful. But with the milk and sugar, it's the best thing. So, like, black tea, you're a bit boring. I think you like boring drinks, and I've
got to be honest. I have never understood the iced coffee market. It just grosses me out.
I must have him off. That's all I drink really. I actually not anymore, but majority of the time I would always have like an iced Americano. So if I go Costa, or Starbucks, it's always iced Americano for me.
Oh no, frappuccinos, iced coffee, or coffee flavored. Yuck. But I love coffee. I love hot coffee. But we digress, obviously. But there we go. Interesting fact. Johnny's an iced coffee fan, and I am not. Right. Jonathan said, can you explain HFSS in simple terms? Oh, no, I don't think I can in simple terms. Yes, you can sell junk food. It's just there are some restrictions related to, and it was supposed to be quite simple with what you could and you couldn't do. But Amazon's seem to have messed it up, and bad advice from the government. And we're in this kind of, I suppose, limbo area at the moment, purgatory. We're in HFSS purgatory at the moment.
Well, yeah. I think actually a good way to sort of sum it up really is to go back to the root of it. And the government's idea was they want a healthier country. They want less obesity rate. They want people to be fit and healthy. Obviously we just had COVID where it targeted people who are unhealthy, right? So they're on a mission now to get everyone healthy. I guess I think it's a good thing probably to like not advertise it. It's the same as smoking. You probably shouldn't put that in front, and you probably shouldn't put chocolates in front. Like for me, when I go to my parents' house, or if I'm at my parents' house and they have like Kit Kats in the pantry, I'm gonna grab one because it's right in my face, right? But if that Kit Kat is not in the house, I'm never gonna have or think about a Kit Kat. So it's like the same idea with supermarkets, right? And what they're doing is they're putting these unhealthy treats to the back, right? So they're not in a promotional eye front that everyone sort of sees. What's done it really well. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt. Hayden's comments just come in at the bottom there, and I completely agree. There's no consistency in the advice. So what the supermarkets have done have moved all the chocolate from the end of the counters and put alcohol there instead, because alcohol is not affected.
That's from the mouth of Co-op. That's what Co-op told me.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy in terms of that. But I suppose the only good thing is if they've moved all the sweets to the back of the supermarket, at least you get your extra steps in going over there to get them.
So what actually has not been impacted by this is funny. It's like Costco. I went to Costco over the weekend, and they've always had the same layout where all their unhealthy stuff is at the back anyway. So they've literally had to move nothing. Because all their expensive stuff like TVs and stuff are in the promotional idea. And they want to keep those groceries at the back because it's like the low value stuff. So for companies like Costco, they're like, oh, what's this? Like, it doesn't make a difference to us. Like our stuff's in the back anyway. So
yeah. Well, they're probably forward thinking. I don't know what the foresight is to that, but these people, these big companies, they pay thousands and thousands, well, hundreds of thousands of people to come and map out their stores, and it's probably strategic in the sense that, well, it kind of makes sense, I suppose, that you have to go all the way through the store to go and get the good stuff, and all the way back, and it means you might pick up stuff along the way, I suppose.
So I think from a warehousing side, they have the storage, like the extra storage at the back. So I think it's a lot easier for the forklifts to maneuver around the sort of high selling stuff like Coca-Cola and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And the stuff at the front, which is like, £1,000 TVs, £2,000 TVs, iPhones and stuff like that. It's not there's not as much movement is there because it's high value, but people are going to buy more of the Kit Kats and the Coca-Colas. So at the back, they have their stores behind, I imagine. So it's easier access so they can replenish. I imagine that's why they originally set it up. And now obviously they've got lucky and, they're not affected by this, but that's warehousing. And, we can talk about warehousing another time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. But just going back to Jonathan's question, Jonathan, sorry, I wasn't being deliberately obtuse there. It's one of those things. The easiest thing to do, and if somebody, Cindy, if you wouldn't mind tagging Jonathan or replying to Jonathan's comment on it, is to have a look at the Never Mind the Buy books that we did about a month ago, and that fully explains everything there in terms of what it is, how it's going to affect. But obviously future Natalie now knows that advertising is essentially affected. So that's the only thing that we do know now. At the time, I remember the episode we were saying, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Now future Natalie and Johnny now know what happens.
Exactly.
But we don't know how to fix it at the moment.
Yeah. It was, I think it was clear. I think it is also like a sort of wishy, sort of hopey, sort of false hope that we hoped it was going to happen. Like, I think there was in the text, it said, we're going to stop the promotion. But, you got to wish, right? And unfortunately, it didn't come true. So
I can't see it. Once it's gone through, I can't see a reversal. But the only thing is, I think the thing is about Amazon as well. There's been no announcement in the last 3 days. Oh, we've gone live with it. This is what's happened. What can you expect? It's a major change. Maybe Amazon have underestimated the impact that it's going to make to the Amazon catalog. I don't know. I stopped trying to second guess and work out what Amazon's thoughts were a long time ago and their logic on certain things. So it will be interesting. to say. But oh, that's interesting. Someone said, who said that at the bottom? Sorry, I've let the comments get out of hand today because I've just been ranting away. Cheese says, my account manager has confirmed all PPC will be flat out banned for unhealthy products. Well, do you know what? I've actually got no issue with that, because it then puts everyone on the same even ground, which means everyone has to improve their quality of listings. Everybody has to up their game, which, you know, certainly I know that's what I bang on about in ESA, always being better, always, you know, learning more, always putting out the best possible offering that you can. So I have no issues with that, providing that they go through that. You know,
But
and
it's the same argument again, right? Where that's fine if it's Fortins or Cadbury, but if it's someone trying to launch their own chocolate brand, you know, that's gonna be difficult, right?
Yeah. It's very, very difficult. Rosie says, I'm going to work upwards on the comments now. Rosie says, Tyrrell's Walkers, Mr. Kipling, you know, they're all going to start creating non-F high fat, sugar and salts lines with some of their popular flavors, maybe more full. I mean, yeah, the idea of it is good. You know, it's good. It's a good thing, right?
And I think a lot of them have been doing that anyway, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot more sort of like, a good example is like Mars Bar's protein bar, right? So Mars does a protein bar, Snickers do a protein bar. So a lot of the different companies have been adding like that extra protein. And I don't know if it's actually, if someone could actually look up, is Mars protein bar, is that healthy or less healthy? Because that's an interesting one, because it's got that protein that might push it to the healthy. But a lot of these lines have been adding healthy stuff. Weetabix protein as well, even though it's probably healthy anyway. But yeah, a lot of people have been trying to add those new lines, but even
and
more.
Again, we, like I said, we literally cannot, you know, Rosie makes good rice cakes. They probably come up as unhealthy for some reason. It's just really weird. But yeah, we can't account for the fact that people are just, you know, fudging the numbers as well. You know, that's what we can't account for. So it's a massive pain in the bum for sure. Right, let me answer some of these questions, or let us answer some of these questions as we go through. Simona has asked, if the data was not done by the 1st of October, is it too late now? No, absolutely fine. So to go ahead and do it, because this is going to be something you have to continuously do for every product that you list or sell within the 59 affected subcategories on Amazon. So this is a continual thing. So again, guys, this isn't just a case of doing it once and forgetting about it. This is forever.
Yeah, and I think it's an absolute pain as well, because it's not on the same Amazon listing bulk uploader sheet, as it's on 2 different sheets, right? So again, when you want to upload like the country of origin, it's the same thing where it's a different template. So you got to do 2 uploads now. So you can't even like systemize it very well. You got to have a process where you're uploading twice. So unless they add, you know, the HFSS underscore status to the main uploader, it's going to be a pain to carry on with this. But you know,
would not a full update, a full forced update on flat file, would that do something, or delete and re-update maybe?
So what I was trying to say is, you have the normal sort of updater sheet where you actually upload those products, like the ASINs and SKUs, right? With the price and tax code and minimum order quantity and stuff like that. But that same template, you can't actually upload stuff like the country of origin or the HFSS or nutritional data. So it's got to be 2 separate uploads for that one ASIN, right? So you have to have a process where you enter the information, and what I'd recommend is some sort of template where you enter the information on one sheet, one Google sheet, and then that passes to 2 different templates, right? So you can add it all into one, and you do 2 separate uploads. It just adds another step. I hope they actually fix that, but for groceries, you're gonna have to do that, or just sell something else.
Oh,
have enough competition.
Absolutely. Right, Sean says it's not Amazon, it's the government. I do disagree with that, Sean. I'm afraid it's both of them. You know, Amazon is not getting off scot-free with this one, I'm afraid. Hayden says one of my products has completely stopped selling, was selling 5 to 8 a day before the weekend. It's going to be a period of time of adjustment. Like I said, it's something, what I was saying earlier, right? So some of you guys wouldn't have experienced this before, especially if it's your own products, but this is also going to impact on existing products as well. So this is why tracking organic rank positions, I think, you heard it here first, is going to start becoming standard due diligence in the buying process for arbitrage products. And because you have to know now whether you buy something, whether or not it's going to be changing and jumping around all over the places. When there is a major change in a listing, what happens is it disrupts it, sends it goes crazy, and it does this thing called a rank dance. I'm glad I said that right. It bounces around all over the place until it finds its true position, essentially. And that's what's going to be happening with thousands of products right now. A major change has occurred because if you think about it, it's a continuously moving system up and down. So for instance, you've got Hayden's product that's dropped off and gone out of nowhere, selling 5 to 8 a day. So therefore, it was probably holding quite a good organic rank. Well, if it's not selling that many a day, now it's going to drop down the rankings and others are going to go up and replace it. Okay, so things are going to go up, things are going to go down. So it really does mean that this has had a really big impact. So yeah, that's a great idea, Cindy. I would tag one of the guys, Holly, Becky, or Karen, and to see whether or not that they could put that in, because that's going to be an indication. So yeah.
I think this last question is, so Johnny going wide and not so deep this Q4. I've been going wide on Amazon for close to 2 years now, ever since they started suppressing buy boxes, and the MOQ came in, and product safety and compliance where they're just going to take your listing off. It just doesn't make sense to go a pallet deep or multiple pallets container deep on one SKU, because it's just the risk isn't worth it anymore. So you want to find that nice balance, I'd say, where I was talking about this last night in the wholesale course, where for a prep seller, it doesn't matter too much if you send just a low amount of each and go very, very wide. But for my warehouse, where I have a team, if I'm going to tell them to send like a few days of stock in, they're going to be taking ages to go and picking and going back. So a nice medium is sort of like, I'm still going to send about 30 days of stock, and then always hold stuff behind as well, so I can sell it on all different sort of things. But yeah, always going wide. In the UK marketplace, always wide. US, there's a bit more leeway, I'd say. Because US is, I'm jealous. Again, like I said, I'm jealous.
Yeah, US is a weird marketplace, in the sense that you see some when their ranks go out of scope in terms of what people accept, find acceptable to sell within that rank. I sell quite a lot out of scope products outside of rank. A lot of hidden gems are within those type of products, because the data keeper doesn't update as regularly, so it doesn't pick up the data points, and it misses sales and things like that. So I sell quite a lot out of scope products. And what's really interesting is but in the American market, the out of scope products are quite similar to the UK market, but the in scope products are massively different. There's a huge difference between the UK and the US in terms of those. But someone's saying here, how do we instruct people or our VAs on how to avoid the products? I wouldn't avoid them. It's not dead. You've just got to be aware that if there's been a big rank drop, not a rank drop, a rank increase on a product. So that's the advice now. If you are seeing a big jump in BSR, which is what we're going to see across BuyBot Pro charts and Keeper charts across the board now, it's because that product has been impacted by HFSS, and you need to make your due diligence buying decision on as much as the new data as possible and not taking into account the old data. That's where the education needs to come for these type of products.
Absolutely. I think to answer Cindy, who said, I wonder if BBP will be able to alert whether it's healthy or not. They won't be able to do this until it's added to Keeper. So a lot of these tools, they use a lot of the data from Keeper because it's just that much quicker than using the selling partner API. So when it gets added to Keeper, then I'm sure they will add it. Yeah. So right now they won't be able to do it unless you can see it on Keeper.
What about like IP information and all that? That doesn't come from Keeper, does it?
I'm sure that's their own. It's going to be their own database.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But then you've got the ungating stuff, and that doesn't come from Keeper.
So that would be an ungating is again it'd be like a link, and then I think so it's all the same link, and then the ASIN will swap out, I believe, and then they'd be able to. There must be some sort of API so they can understand if you're gated, ungated. I haven't actually looked into that, to be honest. Oh, I never looked into the back end of that.
Yeah. Well, I would just I would pop it in the group and see what if they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. It's as simple as that. So, but what it would be good for is if they could do it as a little bit of an alert, because then what it would do is would prompt you to look at the information. It would prompt you to know that there had been a fundamental change in the information that is being delivered effectively. So it's like a warning system essentially, but you shouldn't stop buying unhealthy products moving forward. You shouldn't stop it. Definitely not. But you just have to be aware of how it can impact you in terms of the amount of sales. It's likely that it will still sell, but whether it will sell in the same velocity, in the same volume, then only time will tell. And like I said, this is going to be something we're still going to be talking about this in 6 months' time, guys. Maybe not every single Never Mind the Buy Box episode, but like we did with restock limits, when every time we found out a little bit more information, we delivered that information. Every time we found out something and then it was actionable that you guys could do something that would help, then absolutely we'll deliver that information as we get it. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, it affects everyone generally across the board, unless you don't sell grocery at all, and it doesn't affect you. So then it doesn't affect you.
Yeah. Cindy also said, was it shown Keeper as? I think unfortunately, because the main market of Keeper is the US marketplace, right? And because this is just the UK, I don't think it's going to be a high priority for them, because it's just one category in the UK, which is probably not their biggest marketplace. So I'd imagine them trying to scrape this information, or however they're going to get it, it's not going to be a priority. So I imagine it would just be having to have a guesstimate, right? And look at, is this soy sauce? Yeah, it's going to be a guesstimate. I think it's going to be a while until we see it, but hopefully I'm proven wrong that, the actual automation of it will be a while, I think. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's just it's one of those things, and especially when you don't know what the actual outcome is for certain things, whether it's useful, whether it's not useful, whatever. Does it look tasty? Equals yes, it's unhealthy. Good gauge. We can have a tasty gauge, and if it looks good, then it is too good to be true. Definitely. Chippo says it must be a considerable loss in advertising revenue for them. Absolutely. So, yeah, maybe they'll look at their bottom line this time next year and look at how much they've wasted on advertising revenue. But yeah, they might do a backpedal on it. They might make, if they see it's impacting, they might make some sort of allowance that you can, because I think I've spotted a little bit of a gap already in the market. But again, it could just be coincidence. If you're brand registered and you advertise via sponsored display, then that seems to be able to be getting through the gap at the moment, because sponsored display is all about advertising the brand and not the product.
Yeah.
So
I just thought one thing actually that's on a side point. I think it's actually going to be really hard to actually decipher this data. And I tell you why. It came into play just as we hit Q4. So people it might not drop off, because the stuff that's unhealthy, people are more likely going to be searching for that during Q4. So the data might not actually change much, and it'd be deceiving because we're in Q4. So that's actually something where I'd be like, we're actually not going to know for a while, because advent calendars, I guess we might be able to figure that out, because it's always the same next year. We can go back throughout the years. That might be all right. But stuff like chocolates and I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can look back the previous years.
not going to know the impact. You're absolutely right. Yeah, stuff that generally pushes through the ranks at this period of time of the year, and other stuff, as boring stuff, drops off the rank because the unhealthy, the tasty stuff has got through. Yeah, it's a big mess at the moment. I'm not going to lie. So all you guys can do, but in situations like this, and this is what today's episode, has predominantly been about. We've spoken about it the whole episode. Is you can only do what you can only do, and what you're in control of. So all you can do at this situation is a couple of things. So here's the advice. One, if you've slipped through the net, don't do anything. Okay. I think that's the best advice in this scenario. And that's probably the greyest advice you will ever hear me saying, because I don't know if it'll get picked up, then the advertising will just get stopped. That's what the consequence is, I think, essentially. Continue to upload the HFSS data. It is not too late. It's something that you guys are going to have to get used to doing on a regular basis. So just continue to do that. If you haven't as yet downloaded the tool, then Johnny put it earlier there. It's a free tool that Johnny created in order to help facilitate the process, to make it a little bit easier. Yes, there's been a few, certain things on there that you can do and certain things you can't do, and whatever. But if you have any issues, post it in the group and tag Johnny, and he will take a look at it. And just keep testing. So if you are somebody who is really Chippo, Hayden, whoever, if you are in charge of your own products and advertising and things like that, just keep trying to do a few different things to try and up those organic ranks. Price drops, vouchers, if you're not brand registered, that's something to consider as well. But as more and more time goes on, as we know and understand it a little bit more, then we'll release the information as and when we have it. Really, that's all we can do.
Yep, I completely agree with that. I think that's the best course of action. Time will tell. Yeah, I agree.
So it sucks a little bit, to be perfectly honest, but one thing it does do is highlight the importance of making sure that you diversify and you do not put all of your eggs in one basket. So just before we go, I just wanted to highlight what we're doing at the moment. So we're doing the Wholesale 5-day challenge, which kicked off last night with a huge response from people saying how much they enjoyed it. So what we've decided to do, in the light of all of this kind of drama, it's going to be the last event that we're throwing this year. The cart did close yesterday. That wasn't false marketing or anything like that. It did close. People messaged me afterwards. But what we want to do is, like I said, I know that this has thrown a few people, worried a few people about, diversifying and making sure that they've got access to bigger supply chains and things like that. So what we've decided to do for anyone who wants to still join the challenge, yes, we've already done and started yesterday, but as soon as you join the group, you can watch yesterday's replay in there. If anyone that wants to join, we're going to reopen the cart until 6 o'clock. Okay. So you're more than welcome to come and join us. You can view only for £99. You can view and get the recordings for £99. Recordings for £199. Or you can get a seat on a masterclass next year that I'm going to be running about working with brands exclusively for $299. That was a very quick sales pitch, but we've already been through that. So it's just for the guys that maybe were on the fence, missed the boat, and wanted to jump back in. But like I said, we did it last night. Was the first night. We're running through until Friday, and everyone loved it. Well, I can't say everyone loved it, but it was a good vibe, right?
The feedback we got was very, very good. We ran for 3 hours long, and we're happy to answer like every single question about wholesale, really. So to have 5 sessions in 1 week for the price it is, I think the values, it's ridiculous, actually, in my opinion. And if you want to learn anything about wholesale, even if you already do wholesale, I think it's good for everyone as a refresher, even if you are doing wholesale. So maybe a little bias, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a long
It
one.
was, it
Yeah.
was long. Tonight won't be as long. But in order to pack a whole selling model into 1 week, you have to have long sessions. It's one of those things. But that's what the idea, the psychology behind this style of teaching is to cram you with so much information that it kind of forces you to take action in a short period of time, motivates you, gets the brain receptors going, and really kind of puts you into action. And I think we're going to see a lot of success off of the back of the people that have attended this. It's not really a course, it's like it's a learning event, I would say.
Well, it's what most
To be
people.
fair, that's probably what a course guru would say.
Yeah. Well, most people will do this over 6 months, and then what
Yeah.
we've done is just crunched it down into long sessions and intensive sessions over 5 days. We're by 3 different trainers, so yeah.
And 3 different people's perspectives as well. And that's what I love about the dynamic between Johnny, Matt, and myself, is we all run very different businesses in different sectors, across different marketplaces, across different platforms. So whilst I'm not saying that we are the omega of everything combined, we've all got staff, we've all got warehouses, all of these different types of things. So it really, really does, give a certain level of wealth of experience, I would say, to be able to ask us questions and things like that. Something really unusual came up on the chat last night. Obviously it's paid content, so I can't give it away. But something came up, which I know one person in particular, it was just a massive gold nugget for that one person. And it just came up through natural conversation in the event. And, that's what we say, regardless of where you are in your journey. I will guarantee, I don't normally guarantee stuff, but I will guarantee that wherever you are in your selling journey, that you will leave with at least one golden nugget, with one bit of useful information that you can implement into your business, and it's pretty low cost. And I was going to say good value, but it's amazing value. So given everything that's gone on, a bit of doom and gloom, I know Matt's put the checkout there in the comments, so if you do want to jump on board, join us. And it was just a really good vibe last night. It was really buzzy, really happy. People were motivated. Bit of an opposite of the never mind the buy box today in terms of Natalie's doom and gloom.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's a sort of open sort of sessions where if anyone has any other questions, or it's a big topic, if we've missed anything, that people can ask, and we have multiple QAs throughout the day, throughout the evening. So if none of us can, I don't think, I'd be surprised if none of the 3 of us can answer it. So if you're, there's so much value really that we can give.
Yeah, absolutely. Cindy says, bring your jammies and unhealthy hot chocolate and bring a big notepad. Absolutely. Rosie said, saw the comments. Everyone seemed to have loved the content and are really pumped for this Q4 and new possibilities that the training opens up. Absolutely. That's what we want to be able to do. Wholesale's one of the oldest selling models it is. And the good thing about that type of selling model is a lot of the basic information, the foundational information, it doesn't change from year to year. Systems change, software changes, updates, and things like that. But actually what you will learn over the 5 days is really foundational knowledge that you can transfer into your current business in the future. And it's one of those type of things, the information that you're going to be going through, it might not benefit someone tomorrow, but it might benefit them in 6 months or 12 months or whatever. So it's very diverse amount of information from 3 diverse people with diverse businesses.
Yeah, I think it also translates to even other businesses in other fields
totally.
as well. Because, we go over sales, we go over how to get trade prices cheaper, right? And every business wants to buy stuff cheaper, and everyone wants to improve their sales pipelines, improve sales. And we'll cover all that very deeply. So yeah,
absolutely. And tonight I'm heading the sourcing. We've got 2 sourcing sessions, one tonight, one tomorrow, as I crudely calling them sourcing sessions. Well, the sourcing sessions tonight and tomorrow cover wholesale, they'll cover arbitrage, they'll cover bundles, they'll cover pretty much everything. If you sell on eBay, you'll be able to discover products to sell on eBay. If you sell on Shopify, there'll be products on there, on Etsy, that type of thing. It's universal transferable knowledge. Yes, we're looking for wholesalers in particular, but at the end of the day, you're going to come across products that you can sell arbitrage with these methods that we're going to go and teach tonight and tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's
cool.
it. There's the push pitch.
There's the guru pitch.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, Matt's put the checkout in the comments. Please feel free to come and join us. It would be lovely to see you there. But if anything else, I went to bed buzzing last night. I absolutely did, because it was just such a great, great vibe, great atmosphere in there. And, that's what we also intended to kick off kind of Q4 in the style, definitely.
Yeah, I think I went to, after session, I just went straight to sleep because I need to get used to.
I was like,
yeah, you need to get used to those intense sessions. You've been doing that for a while, so you're well versed in the training, sort of long, intensive sessions. But for me, I'm a baby in that world. So
that's the thing as well. I tell you what, it's people don't realize it's pretty hardcore doing live training, live sessions every single week. People think it's easy. It's really not. And certainly when you're not, the first few times that I was doing it, webinars and that type of thing, oh my god, yeah, I would literally crash. I would crash because it's so brain kind of intensive. But now I get really buzzy after it, because nice comments, you can tell the information you're delivering is going to make a difference, that type of thing. So I get more of a high. It's like a natural high, because I can't obviously have any unhealthies anymore. Get my buzz off of live sessions instead. But that's it pretty much for today, guys. We're going to leave it there because there's not a lot we can do further about HFSS. We'll keep you updated as ever. And any new information that comes through. There were a couple of other things to run through, but to be honest, they affected and impacted the US market. So we'll roll those over for next time that we're on live. Next week, I'm actually here with a special guest. So Johnny and Matt won't be here next week. I'm here with a special guest of someone that's kind of emerging in the Amazon world a little bit, who has recently created some new software, not to be sold or anything like that, or never mind the buy box, but obviously we'll be talking about it. So it'd be interesting. I love hearing stories like that where people diversify from, still being a seller, obviously, but have that kind of foresight to be able to know that Amazon is a little bit of an unreliable beast to put all of your eggs into. So it would be interesting to hear their story.
Sounds like me wearing a mask is coming to be interviewed next week with the software thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I can tell everyone who it is. It's actually Callum from Arborsource that's going to be joining us next week. I made it out like it was a big secret or something. So Callum from Arborsource is going to be joining us next week, and just talking through his Amazon seller journey and how he creates software. I find stuff like that fascinating. I know you guys do as well. So it will be interesting just to go through and see what kind of driven him to that position. So like I said, Matt has put the sales page up there. So if you do want to join us, then please feel free. Like I said, I will see you guys next week. Any questions, as always, keep them going in the group. You guys are super active at the moment, but I think that's due to all the Amazon shenanigans.
Yeah. Has there been any posting of the sales data yet, figures? It's more just like HFSS sort of things, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully in a few months there'll be Q4 figures being posted saying, look how much I made.
Yeah, absolutely. Screenshot season will approach. I've got no doubts about it for sure. But I suspect it's going to be much later into November for sure. So, keep posting as always. If you're watching via YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't, because we do this every week, 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, completely free, where we'll go through and talk about normally conversations a little bit more diverse. So if this is the first time you're watching us and like, what the HFSS, that's why I put it, because I knew it was going to be dominating the conversation. information today. But yeah, we're always talking about updates on Amazon, news, tips, tricks, hacks, whatever. So, you know, feel free to join us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up as well if you want to. So we will see you next week. Johnny, thank you for your time, for coming on and just clarifying, and thanks for the tool. So as well, if anyone does want that, just pop it in the group and we can get that posted.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's been of value. I know it's been some little tricky things with the cake column and stuff like that, but the cake foot column. But you know, the tool was never intended for the bulk uploader; it's more the actual tool itself. So, despite that, hope it brought value. Hope it sped up your workflow, and yeah, it's been good. It's been a pleasure to come on again. Right?
Absolutely, I 100% know it is, because someone highlighted to me that we've actually made it onto the Amazon forums with the tool. So, you know, because like I said, no one's really doing anything about it, kind of thing. So we're
nationwide.
Yeah, exactly. We've gone famous on the Amazon forums. Right. Okay, guys. Well, like I said, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of the day. And if you are on the wholesale course or wholesale event, we will see you at 7 o'clock this evening.
Cool. Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.